There are two things I have loved doing for my entire life, and that's hunting and fishing. And over the past couple of years, we've spent a lot of time talking about hunting and our tools we use for hunting, which are our firearms. Well, now it's time to talk about some fishing. I don't ever remember not hunting and fishing. I've been very, very blessed. But it's no coincidence that I've always loved hunting and fishing and that so many of you do. We're human. And as humans, it's in our blood, it's in our DNA, it's part of who and what we are. Always has been. Long before time clocks and jobs and governments and politics, economics, long before any of that stuff, long before money or even the concept of money, people were hunting and fishing. That's part of what it is to be human. So yeah, it's no coincidence that we still love doing that after all this time. And in my case, I'd mentioned before that, 13 years ago, I developed a lot of health problems, which turned out to be alpha-gal syndrome, which is an allergy to red meat, a food allergy. And it's caused by tick bites, so y'all be careful going out in the field in warm weather when the ticks are out. Ticks can cause some problems. And for me, I developed a lot of autoimmune problems and neurological issues. And well, I couldn't hunt and fish for a while. It was tough. Well, since then, I've been focused on getting my hunting skills back and getting my tools for hunting back to where I want them. So my firearms, and I've been working on those. And my firearms are just about where I want them. They're close. We got a few things left to do, but okay. Well, now I decided it's time for me to start back fishing. And I've fished a little bit over the past few years. I've been slowly, here and there going. I got a kayak and did some fishing. Well, then I decided, okay, this year I went and got a boat a couple of weeks ago. A little 17-foot tracker with 70 horsepower on the back. And I'm ready to get back serious about fishing. And I've always taken my fishing very serious, especially bass fishing. I love catching everything, but there's just something about bass, and I have been hooked on bass fishing ever since I was 8 years old. Went out to a pond with my daddy, and he didn't even want to go that day. He was trying to think of every excuse he could not to go fishing. And finally, all right, we'll go fishing. And we went out, and I can still remember putting a black with white polka dot floating worm on a hook. Didn't even know it was a floating worm, just it looked good. And casting it out there with my little Zipco 404 and catching about a 4.5-pound largemouth. And yeah, I love brim and I love shell crackers and crappie and catfish and all that stuff, but when I caught that 4.5-pound largemouth, I was hooked, and I've been hooked on bass fishing ever since. Well, over the past 12 years, yeah, I fished a little bit, but I didn't keep up with fishing. I didn't keep up with the products. I hadn't really bought anything. A few little lures here and there, but I finally just went up in the attic and pulled out all my stuff. I had a few rods out, but I didn't have much. I pulled it all out, and I'm going through all my tackle now, getting serious about it this year. And I've started watching some videos and different things and just seeing what all has changed in the world of fishing and bass fishing here lately. And since I quit fishing in 2009, there's been a lot of changes, and that's what we're going to talk about today is all the changes since then, because there's a lot to be learned there, I do believe. Well, the first thing I think we need to talk about is something that is indirectly related to fishing, and that's the economy. And I didn't realize just how much trouble we're in until I went to find a boat a couple of months ago. And I've talked about, I've got some worries about the economy in the past, and it's here now. Whatever this is it's here, and we just hadn't felt it yet. But when I first got sick back in 2009. I had a pretty nice bass boat then. I had a Triton TR-186, and it was a 2004 model, and I bought it in 2006. Well, when all my problems hit, I was in bad shape. So the first thing I did was sold my bass boat. I couldn't use it. I was physically unable to fish. I couldn't even walk to the mailbox. And I didn't want it just sitting there depreciating, because bass boats, they depreciate quicker than anything. Or at least they used to. All right, when I went looking at boats and so forth, seeing what was available, the first thing that hit me was sticker shock at the prices. Yeah, it was expensive. And I'm looking at so many of the old boats from back when I fished, and I'm looking at the prices of them and thinking, okay, this ain't right. They're asking way too much for these boats. And I got to digging further into this, and out of curiosity, I went and looked up my old boat, my TR-186. Okay, I was always proud of the fact that I sold that boat and I didn't let it just sit there and depreciate. The problem is, it didn't depreciate. It appreciated. It went up in value. All right, so that exact same boat with however many years of wear since 2009, 12 years, 13 years of wear since then. All right, that boat's selling for more now than it sold for then. I think I got 10 or 11,000 for that boat when I sold it, which was about what I paid for it. That's the first bass boat I ever owned that I actually broke even on it. But right now they're going around for around, I don't know, $16,000. All right, so we're talking, they've increased in value over 50% since then, with 13 years of additional wear on them. All right, so we're not talking about that particular model boat, which they don't even make anymore. I'm talking about that exact same boat has gone up in value. That hit me hard when I seen that. I told Mrs. River, and she said, stuff like that happens. And here's the thing, folks, stuff like that don't happen. Old boats don't appreciate in value. They don't go up in value. Just like, it'd be like me having a 2004 Toyota Corolla that I sold in 2009, and here we are 13 years later, and it's 60%, worth 60% more now than it was then, with the additional 13 years of wear and tear on it. Okay, I've never seen that in my lifetime, and I doubt very few you have either. And a lot of people I talked to about this, they said, well, it's because of the shortages right now that really drove up boat prices, similar to trucks. But here's the thing, it drove it up, I do believe that. But I got to looking at boat prices for new boats and motors. And so even before, our shortages and so forth, the new boats, they've gone up significantly in price. What you could have bought in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, you could have got a 18.5-foot bass boat with 175 on the back for about $20,000. My friend Joey bought one for about $20,000, that exact setup. He said that same boat today is going to run you $35,000. The same, that same level of boat, 18.5-foot, 175 on the back. That's a significant increase in price. All right, so we're talking inflation. Here's what we're talking about. And yeah, I realize that wasn't yesterday, mid 2000s, and it seems like it to me sometimes, but it wasn't. Okay. But then I look at the top of the line, fully loaded bass boats now, 20, 21-foot boat, 250 on the back, decked out with all your electronics. You're talking what, $80,000 to $100,000 for a boat, bass boat. I mean, and trucks. Yeah, trucks have gone up in value, but it's not just the shortages driving up the price of the used trucks, and the new ones been hard to get, so therefore the used ones are worth a lot more. That's part of it. But look at the price of the new trucks before the shortages. All right, well, if your new stuff is increasing in value by that amount, it's just a matter of time before your used stuff goes up in price, because nobody can afford new stuff, and we all have to eventually replace things. Our trucks wear out. We need to replace it, get a later model. Well, if your new ones are all of a sudden $80,000, $90,000 or $60,000 for a base model, all right, what's that going to do to the price of your used ones that are 5, 10 years old? It's going to drive them up if the new ones are going up that fast in value. Okay, and I know what's driving that. And inflation isn't just, they just went and printed a bunch of money. That's part of it. But another thing that drives inflation is credit. All right, with the bass boats now, and this is something else that just absolutely blew me away. You can finance a bass boat now for 20 years. All right, that's how they're able to sell as many as they do, is they stretched out the payments, whereas used to, if you bought a new boat, banks would not lend you money on a boat over a certain length of time, because bass boats did depreciate in value so quick. So the most you could finance a boat for was 5, maybe 7 years. Generally, it's going to be 5 years. All right, well, now you can finance one for 20 years. Which makes sense, because you can finance a house for 20 years, and these new boats cost as much as some houses. Same way with the trucks. And that's not good. All right, so you've got everybody financing everything. Not everybody, most. Most can't. My theory, and this is something I had a lot of time to think about when I couldn't hunt and fish, when I was having my health problems. That old saying, if you can't pay cash for something, you can't afford it. Well, I believe that dearly. Okay, well, because of all the credit now and people financing things for 20 years and so forth, and the prices going up like they have, because if it wasn't for being able to finance a boat for 20 years, I promise you wouldn't see very many people paying $80,000 to $100,000 for a boat. They wouldn't be able to afford it. All right, without being able to finance 20 years, they can afford it. That drives the prices up, because us people, we'll pay that extra even when we can't afford it. Well, what's that do to the people that are paying cash? It's hard to pay cash for something, if the prices have gone up that significantly. All right, I don't know how this is going to play out. I ain't got a clue. None of us do. But we're looking at Great Depression type stuff here about to hit. At least that's what I'm seeing. Again, when you see an old boat go up in value like mine did, I was proud that I sold it. I thought it was one of the best financial decisions I'd ever made. And it turns out it wasn't. And that's because things right now aren't following what they should. Stuff's changed now, and it's in the process of changing to whatever we're fixing to get. And what's going to happen when our economy does start doing this, and you've got everybody owing 20 years on boats and trucks, and we're heading for a train wreck's what it amounts to. Now, with all of the doom and gloom out of the way, and I do hate starting off with doom and gloom, but things are what they are right now. For myself, I just pulled out all my tackle, and I've got stuff here I'd forgotten I even had. And this is just the rods and reels. I hadn't even pulled, the lures there in the house. We'll just say I got a couple. I took fishing very, very, very seriously when I was doing it. And I went down that road fishing the tournaments and stuff, and I went back and I looked and seen what's popular. I've been watching some YouTube videos, seeing what all's changed in the world of bass fishing since I quit fishing. And all of it's changing, crappie fishing. We got new electronics now, and as far as tackle, it's funny. Everything that, I went to go buy, okay, I need some to respool all my reels with some line and so forth. Seemed like everything I went to go buy, they don't make anymore. I had a rod, I broke the tip on one of my rods, a Team Daiwa, light and tough, and when I broke the tip, I said, well, no, that won't be no problem. I can just, I can replace it. I don't want to, but no, I can't replace it. They don't make it anymore. I can't even find one on eBay. And so much of the stuff that I really thought a lot of, they don't make anymore. I've always been a big fan of Strand fishing line. In particular, I love the low vis green. Yeah, I can't get that in bulk spools anymore, and it looks like they're about to quit making Strand. I mean, I could find some here and there, and I did find a bulk spool of the fluorescent, the original Strand, which was good, but it seems Trilene bought Strand somewhere along the way since I quit fishing, so I guess they're kind of phasing them out. I noticed last time I was in Walmart, I looked for some Strand, and they didn't have a single spool of it in Walmart. So yeah, it looks like Strand's on the way out, or it definitely ain't what it was or easy to find anymore. And then just different lures and hooks, can't get any more. Team Daiwa, that was a big thing in bass fishing back when I was really into it. And I love Team Daiwa rods. Yeah, that's gone. So, and the old S-Series rods. I absolutely love the S-Series Team Daiwa rods. Yeah, I can't find those either. Can't even find them on eBay now. I guess it has been a while since I fished and bought any tackle, but I do love these rods. But I can't get it now. So that's part of it. And it's funny, my buddy Joey, many of you met, I was talking to him about all this. Well, he's stayed into bass fishing all this time. He's been on top of everything, and he still does tournaments and stuff. And basically, he said, I'm just a dinosaur. He's right. Okay, but me being the dinosaur I am, I don't adapt well to changes. And that's what he was referring to, and I never have. But, well, that's because when I find something I like and it works, and I really, really, really like it, why would I change? I mean, if it works and does what it's supposed to, well, that's kind of what I got going on here. The stuff I got here, it works. It's old. But I got to make sure it keeps on working, and so I've got a lot of maintenance to do. The same way with a lot of my lures, a lot of them I can't get anymore. Well, I've got one thing I always did with my bait casters, especially with some of my spinning reels. Once a year, I would tear these completely down. I mean, strip everything off of them, clean them, oil them, that good stuff. Well, that's why they're still good after all of these years. Now, yeah, they didn't get hardly any use over the last 13 years, but in the previous decade, these reels got fished. They got used hard. Now, I'm going to say they got used 2 or 3 times harder than most. At the time, I worked, see, the job I had, I was working 4 10s. So 4 10-hour days, I was off 3 days a week. And those 3 days a week, if it wasn't deer season, I was on the water. My stuff got used. And, well, I say it's still here. And it still functions perfectly. But I do have to tear it all down, start getting it cleaned up, start going through my tackle, getting my hooks sharpened and so forth. But part of this also, I'm rethinking how I'm fishing now. Okay, back then, and that's one of the things I realized when the first thing I did was started looking, okay, what's the latest and greatest, hottest lures and tackling and must-have stuff now. You know, I'm scratching my head on buying a couple of things, like us fishermen do, but I realized I don't want to fish like I fished then. Okay, that's one of the things I got to change or want to change this time. I'm lucky in that I'm getting to start over on my fishing. And I essentially am. Just like with my hunting. When I started back hunting and got really into that again and my firearms and so forth, I felt like I was starting over, and I essentially was. But the first thing I had to do was develop my hunting skills again. Well, I know on the fishing, that's the first thing I got to do on the fishing is develop my skills, because one of the things I've really figured out since, 2009, during all this downtime, it's not about stuff, and it's not about the latest and greatest gear, and most of the latest and greatest gear really ain't that great to start with, to be honest, even on fishing. And it's about skills and developing your skills. And as far as our stuff, this is important. What I said about earlier about humans, us hunting and fishing, and that's what we do, and that's in our blood. Well, so is our tools. Humans have been making tools for hunting and fishing ever since they've been hunting and fishing. So knowing our tools, that's really important. And our tools are important to us. Well, this is my tools for fishing. And over the past couple of years, I've been working on my tools for hunting, my firearms. Well, now I got to get my tools for fishing right. And I need to figure out exactly what I want to do with my fishing. Because I'm not doing tournaments anymore. I'm not worried about that. I've been down that road. I've gone down that road. And I realize that's not the path I want to be on. Now, each to their own. We all do different things, but another thing that just hit me really hard the last couple of days was trophies don't matter. And I figured this one out a little while back, but a friend of mine, Russell, he caught a pretty nice fish, 10-pound bass. And I've got it on my wall right now. That's because my friend Russell passed away, and his wife, she was like so many women do after they lose their husband or something. She thought she needed to get rid of everything and just really change her environment and start over. And I can't say right or wrong on that, because she was going through a lot. But she got rid of his fish and deer head and stuff. And well, I knew how much that fish meant to Russell, so I got it. I couldn't stand to see it just, thrown away. Again, I knew how much it meant to him. And when he caught that fish, there were 4 of us there that day. He caught it in a farm pond, and there were 4 of us there that day when he caught it. And I'm the only one left out of us 4. Russell's brother Gary was there. He died in a motorcycle accident. And then another friend of ours was there, Brandon, and Fast Living finally caught up with him. He passed away. And then Russell, one day when we were out hunting, he had a aorta aneurysm. So basically his heart just blew up, and he hit the ground right there. He was dead before he hit the ground. So out of those 4, I'm the only one left. There's Russell's fish, and it don't really mean anything to anybody now. I kept it because of just what it meant to him and being such a good friend and all. But that's the thing about trophies. They don't mean anything to anybody else but us. And when we're gone, they don't matter. All right, well, we'll look at the tournament fishing and stuff. And the tournament fishing, when I was into that did make me a better fisherman. All right, that competition, it makes you a better fisherman because you're going to put that extra time on the water and give it an extra effort. But looking back now, I cashed a couple checks, and nothing big, but that money got spent. It's been long gone, and like I say, trophies, they don't matter. But one thing I can say that did matter was the time I spent on the water fishing and then out in the field hunting. And I can look back now and say, I enjoyed that time. I don't regret a single minute I spent out in the field hunting or out on the water fishing, not 1 minute. And I'm looking forward to hopefully many more years of that. But I don't want to be out there doing tournaments or trying to win trophies or checks or any of that stuff. I want to be out there trying to get, catch some food for the table and enjoying what I'm doing. So that's my goal for fishing now, is to enjoy it. Not fish a technique because I need that technique to catch big fish, but to fish a technique because I enjoy fishing that technique. Enjoy catching fish that way, and not just bass, but crappie and bluegills, shell crackers, all of it, white perch. So that's gonna change my tackle up some and my approach. And I still hadn't figured out just how much, and it's kind of overwhelming having this much stuff. So, yeah. I guess right now, all I know to do is just go through my stuff one rod and reel at a time and get it right. One lure at a time and get it right. Sharpen my hooks and change skirts and blades and see where I end up on my tackle. I know I rambled an awful lot today and wasn't exactly focused, and that's kind of where I'm at mentally right now. My grandpa just passed away, and matter of fact, I'll be going to his funeral here in a few hours, and we got snow on the ground outside, and it just seemed like a good day to come out here and start working on my tackle, and I had all that on my mind. And it seems like most people, when we have funerals, it wants to rain, and I just thought it was ironic my grandpa passed, and for his funeral it snowed. And we don't get much snow here, so this is pretty rare for us. But my grandpa was born in 1931, so he grew up during the Great Depression. He like just 2 weeks from being 92 years old, which he had dementia, and it was his time. But he grew up during the Great Depression, and we've almost lost all of that generation that grew up then. And they had an entirely different outlook on money and so forth, and just how they grew up. Well, I hope I'm not being all doom and gloom, especially with what's going on funeral day and such. But I'm looking at the economics of things, and again, it's not good. The train's already gone off the rails, and I realized that when I seen that with the bass boats and how they've gone up in value. The train's already off the rails. We're just far enough back along the cars that we hadn't felt it yet, and it's coming this way quick. So that's a big part of what I want to do also with my fishing, is I want to make it affordable, sustainable. That's a good word. I want it to, like so many things I'm trying to do now in my life, is with my hunting and gardening and so forth. I want it to help me in all aspects, financially, physically, mentally, and hunting and fishing, they help us mentally too. We might not think about it, but it gets our mind off of things, and hunting and fishing gives us stuff to look forward to, things we enjoy, and better days off here in the future when we can be on the water and out in the field, and I am getting excited about that part of it. A lot of us, I don't think, realize that now. And looking back at him, again, he didn't take on debt and so forth, but he was always happy. He kept life simple. He appreciated the simple things, and I don't ever remember him not being happy. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said there. So anyway, I'm going to end it on that note, and I'm fixing to tear down some reels. And God bless, and Lord willing, we will see y'all next week. I have no idea what we're going to do. Hopefully the ice and snow and all that's out of here by then. So we've got a few rifle projects to finish up. I got to get busy on some boat projects too. I got to get my boat rigged up, get it ready for fishing this year. So no shortage of things to do, and spring's going to be here before we know it. Better time.